All right, welcome. Today's gonna be pretty simple. I gotta change the oil on my chopper. I'm about to go out of town and I don't think I've changed the oil since summertime. I probably should have done it before wintertime. That's what I would recommend, but at the same time, I'm lazy as hell. Yeah, I always rip it around, get it nice and warm so it drains. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So let's go rip around a little bit and get her nice and toasty. So classic move, I was putting this bad boy on because somebody borrowed it, the coil, and I noticed I had this attached to it, and this is the ground for my Speedo. That's not gonna work. So now it's oil change and a new electrical situation. That's a pretty terrible ground. I don't know why I did it there. I think I'm gonna have to do it to that motor mount bolt instead. That's probably a better idea. Also, I got this attacked here, and it always loosens up. If anybody's got a better way to keep this bolt back here from backing out, slide in the comments. All right, so this is probably a terrible view. I'll try to lighten it up as much as I can in production. But here's the wire. I'm gonna put the heat shrink over it first. It's a really thin wire, so I'm gonna have to try to like fold it, and then I'm gonna put this on and crimp it down and put it up there. And it should be perfect. And then I'll heat shrink it, and then I'll go for a rip. So let's try it. All right, here's the situation. Gonna try to do it one-handed. But anyways, I got the cover, heat shrink over it with this on. Two-handed, I'm gonna have to go in there and crimp it down. So I'll be back. So when I crimp these wires on, I used to just He-Man them on there and they were kind of tricky. They'd always be kind of faulty. So I got a pair of these clamp style, whatchamacallits. They work pretty good if you use the right stuff together. But for this instance, the wire's too small, and then the part that I'm putting on there is a little bit too big. I had to use the old tried and true. Everybody gets these at Harbor Freight. I always get them once every 20 years, let them rust away in the bottom of the old toolbox in the van or truck or whatever you got, and then, you know, I'll buy a kit with all kinds of stuff in it. So these are good to clamp down on though. You don't want to clamp down too hard because you'll pinch the wire too much. You know, you don't want to sever the wire, you just want to crimp it really good. Anyways, so here I got it. It looks a little crappy, but once I get this cover over it, it should be dialed. I tugged on it, it's good. So let's set it up. Boom! Like it never happened. Yeah, that should work. I also buttoned up this bolt right here. I just got a new flashlight, so I'm really into using it. But that one down there. I got this Speedo from Lowbrow. The little dot that holds the center part on is on the ground there. Look, it's not even at zero. It just flops all over the place. I don't know what the heck. It just rattled off one day. I've never taken one of these apart, and I'm sure you can't. I don't know. Another video, another time. One thing or another with these chopper things. And that one wasn't cheap, but it wasn't expensive too. I was gonna use the old lighter just to hit the shrink wrap. And I figured I probably shouldn't do that because it's the gas tank's above there. So that would have been fun. I've already got enough fun things happening. So let's get back to riding. All right, let's start this bad boy. So that damn thing's stuck. Piece of junk. That was weird. One tailpipe's smoking. That's a good sign. Man, it's cold as hell. Look like it's about to fucking rain, but it won't. That was really cold. I don't know what's going on. Let's change this oil. I'm on the left side of the bike. I got my drain pan here. This is the oil drain that I put on the side of the oil bag. There's the oil bag right there. But I just put a bolt in it with a hose clamp. So let's get that done. All right, so I'll just let that drain for a little while. Go have a old-fashioned beer or two. Looks like there's a little bit of white stuff in there. That's not great, but it's pretty moist where we live, and it hasn't been running that much, so it's probably condensation or something bad. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So I'm sitting here looking at my starter area, and it looks like there's transmission fluid leaking everywhere. I thought it was from that breather. It's always kicking out a bunch of fluid. I don't know why. I put it to whatever the specs are in the manual. Let me know what you do, but I think I'm gonna have to put a filter on it. My other guess is that starter I put on there. Let me turn it around. My other guess is that starter I put in there, maybe that's not sealed up good right there, because I think it's coming from underneath. But this, let me go to the other side, show you. On the other side, you see this little hose here? That's the breather coming from the transmission. I think that thing's kicking out a bunch of fluid. I mean, I know it is, and it's just spewing up and then going all over the place. I had it pointing down, but it was just dumping fuel out, or oil, I mean. Let me know in the comments what you guys do with that thing, because everybody I know just has it hanging out onto the ground and leaking all over the place, but people don't have as much coming out as mine. I put it to spec, whatever they say on the old Google, and in the manual, says to put it straight to the bottom of the basket there, so I don't know. It's kind of annoying. I kind of feel like it makes it shift pretty crappy too, because I can't find neutral ever. Another thing I gotta check before I leave. Done dripping. I'm gonna go ahead and button her up. I like to look around in the oil, see if I can't find any fun pieces of metal, which I don't know if you can tell, but it's so dirty you can't tell. But if it looks like your prom date's dress, you're probably not doing so great. All right, let's button this up and then do the filter. All right, so here's the oil filter. I got the pan underneath. I don't really have a good way to do this. I just try to do it quick and easy. It's gonna go all over the place, so then I just wipe it off with a rag. Maybe spray it down with some brake cleaner. But I'm gonna take it out and go from there. See how that thing, like, so the oil just goes all over the place, all the way down there, and then just leaks all the way down in the pan. But there it is. I'm gonna clean this up. I'll show you the oil filter. All right, so I bought a filter off Lowbrow, and I bought a S&S filter. I don't know why, I just bought it. I'm just trying to buy the best stuff I can buy, or whatever I think is good. But it was smaller, so I had a little bit of a freak out. Started Googling, and on the box it says oil filter 86 and up, Sportster. So that should be good. So I looked it up, and it was confusing as all hell as usual. But look at that. I mean, that's pretty small, but I read the description on it, and it said they use a smaller filter and it does the same thing with less oil flowing through it. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's a filter, so it'll do whatever it's got to do. Diameter wise, that's what I was really worried about, is it looks a little bit smaller. but I don't know. That's tough. It might just be a tighter fit. You know, I don't know. But what I like to do, all right, so with filter, I always put a little oil on the gasket, and then sometimes I'll even go as far as putting in just a little bit of oil inside the hole, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna keep the mess to a minimum. It's a Sportster, who cares? All right, let's put this bad boy on. All right, there it is, hand tight. Could have gone more, but you're probably just pinching the rubber. Gotta have your S&S logo showing for cool points. That way people know I'm fast. Now it's time to add the oil. This is time to make sure you got your plug connected, plugged up, and that's pretty much it. Just make sure that when you pour it in, nothing comes out. I always use this stuff from O'Reilly's, castor oil, 20, 50. I was getting it from the dealership, but of course the dealership fucking closed down. The oil was a pretty good price too, which is a shame. But anyways, I always have one of these laying around. I top her off every great once in a while. It's funny because they have the numbers on here going 1 to 5. And when you're pouring it in there, you gotta like go backwards, and you're too much of a dumbass, so you're like, what do I do? This one luckily had a little bit in it, had like a quart in it, so then I just filled up 3.2 quarts worth of oil. So I'll just pour that in there and I should be dialed. They usually take like 3 quarts and maybe a hair bit more. I usually put like 3.2 in it, but it's kind of all preference, how she runs. I put 3 in it, let it run for a minute, check it. If it looks really low, put like a little bit more, but I wouldn't put any more than like 3.5. 3.5 is a lot, unless you got like the biggest filter on there and it takes like a whole quart. But since I got this tiny little S&S one, I don't think it's gonna hold that much. You don't wanna run too much oil in these things. They run pretty shitty. So let's put some oil in it. All right, that was pretty uneventful. I usually let the little cone do its thing, let it drip in there for a while. This is definitely not a rush it type task. I've done this in a hurry and you just make a gigantic mess. Just do it whenever you got time. Drink some beers, hang out with the old dog, you know, let things drain and like go eat some food, go drink a beer, bullshit. It's a good thing to do when you're bullshitting with people. You're guaranteed to spill everywhere, so bring some rags. Yeah, this should be good. Let's see if we can look inside of here. Here's the hole. Nice. So, I think you can see where the line is. There's no line, but the oil line. And to me, that's dialed. It's at a slant, so it's gonna be goofy, and then once it starts, it'll filter into the motor and into the oil filter, and should be good. I've definitely ran too much oil in it. Your motor hates it. I did it on the newer bike, and it literally just stopped running. I was going around a turn, and the thing just turned off. I ended up having to go to the nearest Safeway, or the nearest store, which was Safeway, getting a turkey baster, just like pocketing it, going into the parking lot, just turkey basting it out, you know, rookie move. I just put like 4.5 quarts in the thing, and it was to the brim. But they don't make it very easy to check, saying that. I mean, the thing says, it's like the dipstick says full to empty, but that's a pretty big, you know, distance. I know once it's hot and cold, it expands and all that, but I just run it on the hair on the needs oil side, and that way you can just give it a little splash. Let's get this thing warmed up, and then we done. All right, oil change. What a goofy thing, huh? So electrical to oil change to back to electrical. So after I got all buttoned up, I ripped down the street, went to the store, and the thing died. And then I thought, oh man, the plugs took a shit somehow. I was adjusting the carburetor and I went too hot, too much fuel, too much air, whatever. I was trying to tune it and it crapped out. So I figured I found the plugs and I did all that and it wasn't, and I figured out it was the coil, which I think the coil's always been crapping out. So I replaced it, put another one on I had on as a backup. Now it runs better than ever. But the moral of the story is don't let people borrow your electronics, and don't weld on your bike while your battery's hooked up. Like and subscribe. Check me out on Patreon. I watched a movie on there. It's going to be up probably by the time you see this. For as low as $1 a month, you can watch a movie. Biker related, by the way. And the first few are going to be the hipster ones. Then I'll start watching older ones. Maybe I'll do more on there. We'll see what happens. Anyways.